Welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Kino. This week, Moses and I are going to be talking about the Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman written film adaptation with a period for exclamation.
Oh, does it have a...
Yep.
Okay.
It has a period at the end of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Apologies also, we took a week off for family reasons.
Yeah, we had reasons for taking a week off last week. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the Charlie Kaufman Palooza continues.
Yeah, it does.
This week with Adaptation. By the way, if you don't know, we discuss movies. Full spoilers ahead, by the way.
Yeah.
And we are talking about Adaptation, as you said. And I think this week the Charlie Kaufman part of Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman, is very important. I think he takes the reins a lot in this movie.
It is more so his film than I would say Spike Jonze's.
Yeah, I think being John Malkovich, just that one is just more seen as a Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze,
yeah,
and Charlie Kaufman film. And this
this is a Charlie
Kaufman.
Yeah. Now this is
for the longest time I didn't know Spike Jonze directed this. I didn't know.
I didn't either. And now we've both seen every Spike Jonze film.
Yeah. No, that's actually not true.
Well, narrative film.
Narrative
fiction film.
Theatrically released Spike Jonze film.
There you go.
Because he has documentaries and like a billion music videos and ads that are worth watching. He has a long filmography, just not that many narrative
feature film release.
Yeah.
All four.
Hasn't made a movie since 2013. Hasn't made a narrative feature since 2013.
2013. Yep. And for me, this is the fourth Charlie Kaufman film I've seen. I've seen half of his films now. I watched, as a little side note, I watched his second film, Human Nature, a couple days ago, and it was not good. It was not a good film.
I think that's one thing that differentiates us in terms of how we watch movies. Just to complete a director's filmography, you will watch like a director.
I'll watch a bad film.
A bad film. Like I watched Alien 3 for the Fincher podcast we did.
Yeah.
Several months ago now. And the game. The game isn't considered bad. Like Alien 3 is, even though I did not like it. I should drop the rating on Letterboxd for that movie.
I liked it. It was fun. But I am very much.
I really didn't like it. But I unless it's like a director I really want to be a completionist about, or it's like I'm doing it for the podcast or something. I will not like seek out to watch a bad movie by a director or a writer.
I have. I've seen some.
You're much more of a completionist than I am when it comes to.
Yeah, I definitely like to. And it's been
like you've watched every. I haven't, but I should. But you've watched every Paul Thomas Anderson film, and I haven't.
I've watched every Paul Thomas Anderson film, every Steven Spielberg film, obviously every Nolan film.
Jesus, every Steven Spielberg film. You've watched
every Fincher film, every Tarantino film. Yeah, I'm gonna watch all of.
You've seen
films.
Wait, you've seen what's it called?
1941, which is a terrible film.
You know who wrote it, right?
It is god awful. I do. Do I? It's John Landis. It's John Landis.
No, it is.
I thought John Landis wrote it.
To my knowledge, it's. I'm not going to say it before 1941. It's Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. Right.
Yeah, that was a bad film. Yeah, it's not fun.
I didn't want to say it was Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale because I would have felt like an idiot if I was wrong. But yeah, they wrote that movie.
Yeah, it's bad.
At that point, they were the Steven Spielberg wonderkins.
Not only have I seen 1941, but I've seen his film Always with Richard Dreyfuss and John Goodman, which is a schmaltzy piece of crap.
I have literally never heard of Always.
Hook, which I do not understand why people like that film.
That is
a bad film.
That's a case of
it's a bad film.
Millennial 90s kids having nostalgia.
It's crap.
That's also
it's 2.5 hours.
Jesus,
it's 2.5 hours. It's bad.
Peter Pan, the Disney one, and the early 2000s live action one were my favorite movies when I was like 5. Have you seen the live action one from the 2000s?
Nope. Oh, I have.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking about Robin Hood, but Peter Pan,
with the actor, what's his name?
I can't remember, but I know. But I watched that growing up as well. It was a good film.
No, and the first short film I ever made when I was 5 was Peter Pan, because I like those movies.
That's sick. I love Peter Pan.
I have a copy of that on my computer, that film. It's Jason Isaacs. He's Hook.
Jason Isaacs, yeah. I just watched him in a film this week that I'd watched for my classes, Death of Stalin. That's also a great film.
You had to watch that for a class?
Philosophy. The Ethics of Humor.
Interesting.
It's a very good film.
Do you like that movie, Death of Stalin?
I do.
I have an unpopular opinion. I don't like it.
The first time I saw it, I was like, that was all right. But watching it the second time around, I'm like, I like this. I really like this. I need to rewatch it.
I saw it in theaters, and I was like, no,
when I first saw it,
having a good time.
Rewatch it, because the first time I saw it, I was like, that's a 3-star film. And then rewatching it now, I'm like, that's a 4-star film. Like, this is some like deep cutting satire. It's very good. Anyways, back to Charlie Kaufman and Adaptation. I'm very excited to talk about this because yes, I'm a completionist, so I was going to watch this at some point, but I'm very happy that we've done that.
You're a completionist in the sense that you also watch them in order?
Yes, I do. That's exactly what I do.
Which is totally unnecessary, but you do it.
Oh, yeah. But
because you made sure to watch his second movie before you watched this one for the podcast.
Correct. And I'm also going to make sure that before I watch Eternal Sunshine, I'm going to watch the film that he wrote in between this and that, which is George Clooney's directorial debut with Sam Rockwell and Drew Barrymore, Confessions of a Dangerous Killer.
You just spoiled about the movie we're talking about in 2 weeks.
Oh, what a shock. That's right. We were never going to talk about Eternal Sunshine on a film podcast. What a shock that's
a very stereotypical film podcast movie.
Yeah, but it's going to be great because it's a great film. But anyways, this is also...
your favorite director is Christopher Nolan. There's not much more film bro you can go than that.
And we haven't done that yet, but that's coming up.
There's a reason I'm stopping it from happening.
At some point, we will do that.
Yeah, we will. We can't taint our reputation further. David Fincher, by the way, is a massive film bro director. So.
Yeah,
he directed Fight Club, one of the most film bro movies out there. I mean,
literally, my 2 favorite directors are the most film bro filmmakers out there.
Why do you hate women,
But
Ryan?
I don't care. I don't. Greta Gerwig's great director.
Actually, she did co-direct a movie in the 2000s that I've literally heard no one talk about. But her 2 movies that she made this decade, last decade now, fucking sick. Yeah,
I agree.
I think she co-directed a movie in the 2000s with someone else that does not look good. Maybe I'll watch it to be like you, a completionist.
But I won't count that. Same way that I watch Tarantino's films.
Barry Jenkins directed a movie in the 2000s that he made some.
No one talks about.
People like, but no one talks about that movie. I don't think his short films.
One area where I'm not a completionist is because I do not consider it one of Tarantino's 9 films is Death Proof. So I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen Death Proof?
I don't consider it because I think Kill Bill 1 and 2 are such distinctly different films that they, for me, are 2 films, not 1. So to me, those are his 9 films.
Those films are fine. I don't think they're great.
I think they are great, but I do not think that they're near his best films.
I think 1 is better than 2. I don't know if
agreed. 1 is better than 2. It's just that 2 is too slow. I think
2 has the hayat in the coffin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's some great moments in 2, but anyways, we've just done a full podcast worth of tangents and the opening 10 minutes.
Just one last thing to say about Kill Bill. I think that is maybe the instance where people say about Once Upon a Time, but I think more Kill Bill. I think Kill Bill is the instance where it's like, Tarantino, you've gone overboard with your love for all these movies that you're cramming into, all these like Bruce Lee style kung fu films.
I think Once Upon a Time is definitely more indulgent, but I think Kill Bill also fits that. Yeah.
I really like Once Upon a Time though.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I consider Once Upon a Time to be better than both Kill Bill films.
Yeah,
but it's definitely his most indulgent film.
Oh yeah. But I don't think it's that Kill Bill's indulgent. I think it's just it doesn't work as a movie when you cram in. Well, I guess it does work as a movie because people like them, but but for me it just doesn't work. It's you're cramming in so many just little references that most people don't get. The tracksuit is from a Bruce Lee movie, all this stuff, but it just feels like he's cramming in so many things, and it's a disservice to the story. Great action sequences, though.
Yeah,
but yes, we
indeed.
have done an insane amount of tangents already. So maybe we should talk about
Maybe
adaptation.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
So I would actually want to.
I watched this a couple weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, because I want to see a bunch of Charlie Kaufman before I watch his new movie, which I still haven't done. I haven't seen. I've only seen 2 Charlie Kaufman written films, and that's the 2 ones we're talking about on the podcast.
Well, we'll do Eternal Sunshine,
Yeah,
and then I think the only other ones to really do is the 2 he directed.
3 now.
3.
The new one.
Right. Yeah.
Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah, but before you said the ones before. Yeah. So after we do Eternal Sunshine, you only need to watch 2.
Yeah.
Same with me.
True. And I'm not going to watch them in order because I'm not a freak like you.
Shut up.
So adaptation. You shut up. No. You hang up. Adaptation is balls to the walls. Great movie.
You called it a masterpiece.
I said
a week ago.
I have to rewatch it. I didn't have the time to rewatch it for the podcast this week, especially because you changed our recording hours, Mister.
I did that last minute.
I'm not. It's not a big deal.
That won't be a normal thing, but yeah.
Better not, especially because maybe soon we'll be in the studio again.
Yeah, if we're in the studio again, then I mean, obviously
we don't have a choice.
Yeah, there is no changing that around. Yeah,
but that will be fun.
That will.
Good sound quality, maybe one day. Let's hope.
Back to the golden days.
You know, we only did like 6 episodes in the studio, and we've done.
I know.
30 plus.
I looked back
episodes.
at that the other day. I know. It's weird, actually insane. Right? It is so weird to think that this is more norm than that was.
Yes. But... So adaptation.
Yeah.
Tangents galore.
Yeah, let's stay on track now.
I haven't seen you in a couple of days, so we're just catching up.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot.
Adaptation is. I think you could call it a masterpiece. When I was actually watching it, I told you this. I didn't know if I loved it or I hated it because it's a very dense movie and a lot happens.
So dense.
A lot is thrown at you.
Yeah.
A lot is thrown at you. So I
texted you that.
I had to process it afterwards. But like I think like my opinion got settled on it when it hit the 3rd act. Because once again, spoilers. When the 3rd act switches from him talking to Robert McKee, which by the way, Robert McKee, like played by Brian Cox in this movie. I was like, that is like if you've ever like looked into studying.
I'd seen that clip before actually when he yells at him in the audience.
I can't
remember where, but I'd seen it before somewhere.
Maybe I'd seen it in a compilation or something, but I didn't know it was Robert McKee. I don't think, but I think I had seen it before though. But maybe like a video essay about screenwriting, and they were like, "Don't use narration," and then they put that clip in there. That seems like something someone would do.
I could see that, yeah.
But I was just like, wow. First of all, Robert McKee as a character in this movie. If you've ever looked into studying film or like have been like interested in screenwriting, you know who Robert McKee is. Like you don't have to be a film student to know who Robert McKee is. He's a very If you're interested in screenwriting, you'll probably know who he is. So that's just like that's fun that he's in this. And also, I didn't know he was still alive because he is still alive. He's just old.
Yeah, he's very old.
He's always been an old man in my mind. But that inclusion is amazing. But once that interaction happens, and it goes like, none of the movie matters if you like stick the landing and the ending's good. And then when it becomes a movie ending, I was like,
proper movie.
Ooh, that blew my mind.
But the thing is, that only works. It only works because of the McKee setup. If you didn't have that scene,
of course.
If he didn't say that, you'd be like, "What the
fuck
am I watching?"
I think this movie, could have been. It could, in theory, it could have been very, very messy, in terms of how things were handled, and like you could lose the audience very easily. But I actually think this is a very, very easy movie to follow.
Yeah,
if you're
it is surprisingly so. I mean,
you'd think you get lost in this like triple meta narrative thing that's like about like screenwriting basically. Or like movie making. You would imagine people would like you'd get lost, but I think it's quite easy to follow because it's just like they really lay everything out. It's like I was never like wait a minute, did this actually happen in real life? Did Charlie Kaufman like get in a shootout?
No.
Like I was never like questioning that. And like, you know, and I don't think most people would, because it goes so out there. And you had the discussion with Robert McKee, so you're like, oh, he's doing the movie ending.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And it has like the big melodrama with the brother, like Donald Kaufman or whatever. Oh, it's so good. So good.
Today was the first time.
My opinion was settled on the film once I reached the third act. When that switch happened, I was like, it blew my mind. I'd never seen something like that. I can't remember.
See, I loved it within 30 minutes.
I thought I liked the whole movie, but that's when like my mind switched and I was like, okay, I actually do like this. I don't hate it.
See, I never had that. At the beginning, it took me a minute to see what the aim of the film really was. But I think the moment for me that I realized that this is a genius film, and I think it's that term is so overused when it comes to Charlie Kaufman.
Or
and while
any movie ever by a famous writer director.
Any famous writer. Yeah. And while I do think that Eternal Sunshine is a better film, or a film I prefer to this, I think that this is his most genius film, because it was at the point where I can't remember. I think it was when the brother had outlined what he wanted to do for a script, that I realized, oh, the brother is the manifestation of everything that Charlie Kaufman is not, and everything that Charlie Kaufman wishes that he could be. But the reasons that he dislikes his brother are the very reasons he's not that person himself. And when I understood that, I was like, this is genius. Because from unlocking
his brother is like the stereotypical successful screenwriter who's a hotshot in Hollywood.
You know, he writes a very Hollywood generic stories that Charlie Kaufman wouldn't write. Doesn't have the social anxiety that Charlie Kaufman has. Doesn't struggle with women the way that Charlie Kaufman has.
He struggles with women.
Yeah.
Doesn't have Charlie Kaufman. You need a therapist.
Massive.
If that's real, God damn.
Yeah. No shit. And that, well, he does now. He is now. Yeah. And he doesn't have the self-esteem issues, and like
Charlie Kaufman, he's not a therapist.
Right. He's not all those things. He wishes he could be his brother, but I loved how they made it so clear that the reason that he's not all those things is because he's not a conventional writer, because he's not a conventional person. And it was that understanding. I was like, oh, so everything in this film is just about comes back to this guy, which yes, is very self-indulgent and very like,
but
you know.
Yeah. Couldn't finish your sentence, sorry.
Well, just that, like, I think that, you know, it was from that point where I was like, this is a great film. And then, because then I started to look at the Meryl Streep, Chris Cooper side of things very differently as well, in terms of how, you know, the story within the story, of course, reinforces what the main narrative's about. But also, anytime that came up, it was so engaging on its own that I just forgot about the Nick Cage stuff and the Charlie Kaufman stuff. I was just like, this is great. This is so interesting and well written. And I think that's why it works so well as a film.
I love it that it actually bakes in like an adaptation of the book into
it does.
On top of all the Nicolas Cage stuff. Like, because what happens in the movie is basically what happened in real life.
He had
to adapt a book and he didn't know how. So he wrote it.
But I love that because he was like, okay, well, here's a pretty simple story that's just about, you know, life and how it can be disappointing, as he says in the lecture to Robert McKee. And he takes that story and he goes, well, the way for me to adapt this is to adapt the message of the story, not just the story itself. And for him,
you should do, and you adapt something. We talked about that before, because both of us have thoughts on adapting books and life.
Video games, true stories, any form of adaptation.
I couldn't care less if you adapt it one-to-one. I want
what the story's really about to be preserved. And I thought that was genius, because then the whole point of this film is about
that's not by the way, sorry to interrupt, that's not a groundbreaking thought that we've had.
No, I don't think we presented it as such anyways.
Most successful adaptations do exactly
that anyways. But I like this because it in some ways it's kind of one-to-one, but not really in the way that most adaptations are. And to me, it makes the film about how from stories we reinforce our own like sense of world understanding and like understanding of ourselves. And I think, because I personally view film that way and stories that way, that like the fact that that's the overall message of this film, but done so creatively and uniquely, and like you said, it is such a dense
it's
film.
One of the most creative movies I've seen.
It's so
like,
creative
in terms of just like, wow, he did, like, also apparently he also he just submitted this and thought this would tank his career.
I was reading that. I wanted to bring that up because it's so interesting. He wrote it in secret and then gave it to Spike Jonze as like, I don't think I should show this to anyone because I think people would be furious, but check it out. And then everyone was like, this is genius, and then they fast tracked it, which is cool.
But I also think that it was probably just like after John Malkovich, they were probably like, do what you want, Charlie.
Yeah, probably. And then he did Human Nature, and then everyone was like, maybe not. But actually, yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, I wonder why four films. He only has one.
I have not looked into this at all. There's maybe a reason out there. I wonder why he and Spike Jonze stopped collaborating, or why Spike Jonze didn't direct a movie for like 10 years.
Yeah, I think that's more so about Spike Jonze's own career choices than anything between them.
I don't think they had a falling out or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But by the way, going back to what I was saying earlier about Charlie Kaufman needing a therapist, I'm just saying that as a joke, because I also think this movie has a very good sense of humor in terms of the Charlie Kaufman we see in this movie. Yeah. I don't think that's actually Charlie Kaufman. Yeah. That is an insanely exaggerated version of Charlie Kaufman, and he's poking fun at himself. I'm sure he is an introvert and like has social anxiety issues and probably and has had negative interactions with women that leave him nervous and anxiety. Yeah. And he probably thinks, I'm balding and all that. But I think he's turned that up to 11 in this movie. And I was reading that, like, again, I don't know if this is accurate because I read the IMDb trivia, which can be complete bullshit. But apparently the author of the book, can't remember her name because it's been 2 weeks since I saw the movie.
Her name is Susan Orlean.
Susan Orlean. She was like, she didn't know how she felt about her portrayal in the movie. But then she remembered how Charlie Kaufman portrayed himself and was like, nah, I'm good. Like, if he's willing to portray himself like that, then I think I'll be fine.
Yeah.
While watching this, I did wonder, like, I wonder how the real people feel about this.
I mean, I thought about that briefly, but I was also like,
I'm sure there. Once the movie was released and like was critically praised, I'm sure they were like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, this is amazing. Like they tell you a book that you're a character in, or the book you wrote is going to be adapted, and it's a meta narrative about the screenwriter. Like, come on, like, you'd imagine that.
I bet initially.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm just fascinated that this got made because it's wild. It's a wild movie.
It is in the best possible way. Speaking of the portrayal of Charlie Kaufman.
By the way, do you think I'm off bounds calling it perhaps? I don't like the word, but I said it anyway. A masterpiece.
I need to think more about it because I only saw it today.
I only gave it 4.5 stars. I might give it 5 stars on a rewatch on Letterboxd.
I think
even though star ratings mean absolutely nothing.
I definitely think it's a 5-star. Like,
but I still think
I would rate this at highest rating on any scale.
I wrote you that because I don't think I've ever seen a movie quite like this.
Me neither. But to be fair, you could also say that about being John Malkovich, and you would not call that film that.
No, I wouldn't. But that. Yeah, I think this does way more than John Malkovich because it's like there's so many layers to this.
I think that
John Malkovich is like balls to the walls, like creative.
To be honest, I think the only thing that makes this film a little bit better is the fact that I think the emotional side of this film is a lot stronger than it is in that film.
Despicable.
Yeah, but again, I didn't mind that in that film because it was there was purpose
I know, but
it's I think that for my money and for what I've seen, this is my favorite Nicolas Cage film. I haven't
seen Leaving Las Vegas, which you won an Oscar for.
Amazing in this as both because this isn't a
I love Nicolas Cage. He's I'm not
he's a
not the
great
first to say
actor.
this, but like I know he only does schlock because he has to pay money back to the IRS because he evaded taxes for ages, and he spent his money on bullshit like the Superman comic and a
Yeah.
skull that he had to give back to a country because it was stolen originally. But that's a whole other discussion. He's done with money, but he makes
Shit.
he makes schlock because he has to make money.
Yeah.
But he's a great actor.
Yeah, he is. And the thing is, because a lot of times split roles will be similar, like
also,
very similar. And then he's so different as both. The way he acts as Charlie and Donald couldn't be more different, but he plays both perfectly. Especially, I loved it when he when he brings his brother in to New York to help write the script.
I love that bit too.
And it's the back and forth, and it plays perfectly.
Yeah,
it plays perfectly, and you know that. And I thought I've never seen a dual split performance by the same person that is this good, considering that, you know, when he's delivering the lines, you know, he's not there. Obviously, you know, he's by himself, or they have someone else.
They
to
have
give
a
it back.
stand-in or whatever. But still,
the fact that he has that good of a back and forth with himself, I've never seen it that good.
No. I'm sure.
So I think Nick Cage.
I'm sure they still had a stand-in or something. But
yeah, but even so, I think he's amazing in this film.
Dual
I think it's the
performances.
best dual performance I've seen.
Dual performances have gotten amazing because with the technology,
with the technology, yeah.
Performance-wise, it's the technology has allowed them to improve because you can have someone there and then you CGI them out or key out the face or whatever.
Yeah.
But I might agree with you that this is probably the best dual performance because there's something about it that is just so good.
Yeah. It's like they feed into each other so well. I think
that has to do with the great direction by Spike Jonze, who we really haven't talked about. But speaking of Spike Jonze, I've said this multiple times, but he was married to Sofia Coppola, and this movie stars her cousin. I think he's a Coppola for sure, but I think he's her cousin.
Who?
Nicolas Cage. He's a Coppola.
Oh, that's right. You told me that.
Yeah, everyone's a Coppola.
I keep forgetting that.
We've talked.
I forgot that ages ago. Yeah, my bad.
Everyone is a Coppola. Everyone in the movie industry that is vaguely Italian. Is Francis Ford Coppola Italian? I don't know. Part Italian? I don't know.
Yeah, he is. He's part Italian.
Yeah, Italian American, imagine. Anyone that's vaguely Italian American in the film industry is a Coppola. And that's a joke.
Well, I mean, a lot are. We talked about
Rushmore.
Jason Schwartzman as well. Yeah, he's Coppola.
Also, there's another Gia Coppola directed a movie and is directing a new movie, and that's another Coppola that I'd never heard of until recently.
Me neither.
Wait, what did Gia Coppola direct? Sorry, I'm going to look this up. Gia Coppola directed a movie that apparently is quite good, and she has a new one coming out, I think. Yeah, Gia Coppola, granddaughter of Francis Ford Coppola, and she directed Palo Alto in 2013 with Emma Roberts, which I think is supposed to be good. And this year there's a movie called Mainstream with Andrew Garfield. And apparently Jason Schwartzman is in her new movie. So yeah, everyone's a Coppola.
Talk about nepotism.
Hey, but they do act good, okay?
That's true.
People talk shit. Do you know about the term? Sorry, this is so off topic, but I'm having fun. Do you know about the term? Industry plant in regards to the music industry?
No.
Like that's what people say about an artist. People have said it about Billie Eilish or about like many other artists, and I'll get into more into a second. Who have like vague connections to the music industry. Like their dad worked at a label at one point in their career or something, and they're like, and then those musicians are advertised as being homemade, which Billie Eilish is like very much, her and her brother, their own shit in their like room and shit, in their bedroom. But they'll be people are like, well, her dad worked at this company, which is why she was able to become a musician. So actually, she's not good. Two things. The music is still good, so okay, whatever. I
agree. I like Billie Eilish.
No, her music's great. And then People are also, the term industry plant, what I wanted to say, I've never seen it not used when talking about female music artists. I've only seen it used towards women. And
Interesting.
I've never heard of a man being an industry plant, which is funny.
Interesting.
But it's so funny that that's a thing that people talk about in the music industry as like a negative. But if you look at how insanely rampant nepotism is in Hollywood, like in the film industry, it's insane, and no one really bats an eye.
Yeah, I mean, clearly not.
Yeah, like
clearly not.
Everyone is the son of somebody. Jack Quaid in The Boys is the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Maya Hawke. Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke
is the child of somebody. It's so funny.
To be fair, though, they're both good actors.
Again, I'm not talking shit. Those are good actors.
Let's return to Adaptation, because if we're gonna start talking about The Boys, I'm gonna get very...
we're not. By the way, we like The Boys. I call it dumb but amazing Watchmen. It's so good.
I think the second season's incredible. The last episode was phenomenal.
The second season is better. I saw someone say the other day on Twitter, like, the second season's worse, and I'm like, not at all. Totally wrong.
The episode before this one, I thought was
liked it.
Like it was good. I will say one minor gripe.
Let's not talk about The Boys. Don't talk about The Boys.
Fine.
But we'll talk about this after. We can't go off and talk about The Boys, because that's also a whole other spoiler thing we have to add into this. But
that's true.
What I will say, I saw the teaser for the next episode. It's gonna be sick.
I did too, but like it didn't show much.
No, I thought it showed a lot. Did we see the same one?
It was one. I saw one. The one I saw was one scene.
Oh no! It was a trailer for the next episode.
Oh what? Oh, I'll look it up when we're done. I only saw one that was like a scene.
No. Based on the little teaser I saw for episode 7,
okay,
shit goes down because there's only 2 episodes left in the season.
Yeah,
and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna wrap this up so quickly, because there's a lot left. And now I saw
they probably won't, because they didn't wrap anything up in season 1.
Yeah,
so
but still,
they'll carry that.
Still, not that they have to wrap it up, but they have to like have some sort of like, penultimate conclusion at least. But Adaptation.
Let's go back to Adaptation. So I wanted to talk about the orchid metaphor and the story, because we talked a lot about like the Kaufman side of it.
Oh yeah, but it's 90% Kaufman.
Yeah.
One thing when I was watching this, it was like when I was like not sure if I loved it or I hated it. I was like, because those are very close. I was like, I don't know if this is too narcissistic or not. If it's too self-indulgent. Which at one point, the movie Lampshades, and it's like, oh, am I being too self-indulgent?
Yeah.
And they literally call it out, which is lampshading at its worst. Which, by the way,
but I don't care.
With this, I don't care. I usually do care because it's very lazy writing. My favorite example of lampshading, my least favorite example of lampshading, my favorite because it's bad, is in X-Men Apocalypse, when they walk out of the theater after seeing Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Like, the third movie in the trilogy is always the worst one. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, but I feel like
that
for them
sucked.
Yeah, but I feel like for them that was them trying to be like, normally they do, but ours was good, wasn't it? And instead now it's like, because that film is not good, you're like, yikes.
Or it was making fun of X-Men Last Stand.
I think it was doing that.
I think it might be doing both, but it still sucked. Yeah. It was dumb.
I agree.
Bad movie directed by alleged pedophile. No.
Yeah. Even though he has made some good films, he is definitely not a good person.
I saw some rumors about the Usual Suspects. That I literally have forgotten mostly, but it was, I'll tell you afterwards, but it was weird in terms of like, maybe he has less to do with it than you'd think he did as a director. I don't know.
I
read that once and I was like, that's interesting. Also,
because I think Usual Suspects is great.
That movie has not aged well because starring Kevin Spacey and directed by Bryan Singer.
Yeah, by Bryan Singer.
It's almost like how everyone in Baby Driver in the cast is a piece of shit. Great movie.
Yeah,
a lot of the actors in that. Like,
what a bummer that is.
Three-fourths of the poster are like just like all those actors, get them out of here.
Yeah.
But
Gosh,
orchids.
that's such a bummer. Yeah. So I love the orchid metaphor in terms of like, you know, orchids are unique to each their own, but also the idea of flowers in general is like, you know, flowers will look like a certain insect so that, you know, they attract that insect, and like the idea that they're soulmates and that like the earth wouldn't exist without that simple thing is like also the idea that like we like, because the film's very much also about loneliness, so like it's that also that idea that we as human beings need to find the people that are right for us, not necessarily romantically, but just in general, like the right people, because then it makes what makes the world like, you know, what it is. And I like that metaphor, but then it also kind of goes further into the Meryl Streep Chris Cooper storyline, which again I thought was involving and interesting in its own right, with many parallels to Charlie Kaufman's story. But I liked how during that it was the idea that she's looking for this unattainable kind of ghost orchid, and for a while you think, oh, she's never going to find it, and that's the point of life.
Drug addict.
Right, is that like she doesn't find it because, you know, you don't always find, you know, the people that you're supposed to be with in this life, and you know, you just end up being disappointed and unhappy, and that's what Kaufman takes away from it. But then of course, you know, you go on and then you kind of figure out that like, oh no, she did. And again, that is like where it becomes, is this, you know, a movie or is this, you know, something that happened? Because there's that middle ground for a bit where like this could be what happened in real life, this could be in the film. There's a clear point of demarcation where like this is clearly like, you know, a made up fantasy for the film. But yeah, I just thought
what I love again about that third act is there's no way you can dare to think that it's real.
But what's genius about it is that it has ties to reality. So I love that, you know, I love that they give Chris Cooper's character so much backstory about, you know, his nursery and losing his wife and his mom and his uncle in a car crash. And then Kaufman loses his brother to a similar accident later in the film. And I love that parallel because I love how it connects
with the brother.
Yeah, great scene. And I love how it connects like all these people who, for so many different reasons and have such completely different stories, are all going through the same emotion of loneliness. And I think that's what I think so good, because at surface level, you're like, oh, it's just a film about writer's block. But it's like he has writer's block because he's blocked in his own life. He has, you know, crippling social anxiety and unbelievably low self-esteem that inhibits him from doing anything, and he only overcomes his writer's block when he overcomes his own, you know, his own personal anxieties and fears and phobias. And I love that, and I love the, you know, the dual story with them and how the like orchid metaphor kind of reinforced all that, and even goes into that final shot, which I loved. I love that final shot with the song that the brothers would sing to each other, with like the flowers coming in and into bloom as the world kind of goes around them. I love the symbolism of that. Again, like it's very, you know, fantasy, because again, the last 20 minutes are very much a fantasy. I thought it was great. I love that element of the film. I think, again, it just reinforces what Kaufman's really going for, and just shows his, I think, aptitude for writing and bring it all together. Because that's what I texted you about, is when I clicked that and clicked the part about the brother I mentioned earlier, where I was like, this film's doing a lot. There's so much thematically, and there's so much that's dense about it. But like, because it hit me all at once, I was like, it's so much, but also it's amazing. And like, I can't believe he's doing this much, and like, he's balancing it so well. And I just, I thought it was that balancing act that I thought made the film great. Also, before you go on, I just saw here something that you asked me earlier, but I wasn't sure about. But yes, Nicolas Cage did indeed wear a fat suit for the film.
I texted you that, like, I wasn't sure, and I didn't.
It looked real, so I was like, I don't think so.
No, the reason I thought it was a fat suit because I was like, I can kind of tell. It's a fat
when he's wearing shirts, I could be like, I see it. But when he had his shirt off, I was like, that looks pretty real.
Yeah, no,
that's very good.
When he had his shirt off, it looked good. But no, there was a movie I saw recently where I can't remember if it was a pregnant belly or just like someone being fat. It was like, it looked really bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a pregnancy bump because those are really good now in movies. They're like amazing.
Yeah, pregnancy bumps
Have forever been like amazing.
I've never ever been like that looks fake in a film.
Yeah,
so
it's rare to ever. You notice it more in a sitcom when an actor's pregnant and they have to hide it. When they're like,
so true.
They're wearing they're holding a basket for some reason in front of their stomach, or wearing
so lame.
gigantic sweaters.
Clothes, yeah.
But this is going to sound off topic, but it's not. Have you seen The Player by Robert Altman?
I've seen the first 20 minutes of it in our old film class.
Oh, okay.
They showed it and they were like,
that does
look
seem
at
like
how
a
meta
movie
this film is.
Your old film teacher would like.
Yeah, because it's so meta.
Yeah,
such a meta
that's
film.
why I brought it up.
This is more meta, I think.
Oh no,
from what I saw.
It is. But that is like the closest movie I could even try and compare this to, because it's about Hollywood, partially about not really, but it's about a producer. The main character is a producer.
Yeah.
But he he picks screenplays and the villain is a screenwriter in the movie. So it's about screenwriting. The ending is also very much like movie, to the point where, not to spoil too much, the final line is a line that he repeats based off a movie within that universe that it gets produced. Like, it's super meta, but not as meta as this, but it's very meta as well. Because this has the extra level of meta that it's literally how the screenwriter wrote the movie. But you would like The Player. The Player's.
I remember really liking the first 20 minutes.
The Player is a really good movie. I really liked it.
It's on Amazon Prime, so I can give that a watch.
Has some of the best and some of the biggest cameos ever in a movie. Everyone's in that movie.
There were some people, I can't remember everyone, but I remember the first 20 minutes being a lot.
In the 90s, Robert Altman was Robert Altman, and he could get anyone for nothing. They just walk on set and be like, "Hey, you want to be in a Robert Altman movie? Okay."
Sure. That's a big name.
That's why Bruce Willis is in it. Julia Roberts is in it.
Yeah.
Cher's in it. I'm forgetting a lot of names, but a lot of people are in it.
There are a lot of cameos in that film. I'm looking it up now to see. But anyways, I see what you mean in terms of the meta-ness. Like, it is very much that's
the closest movie I can compare this to. It's about
this
Hollywood.
film.
It's very meta.
It's very meta.
The ending almost reminds me of that because it's a movie ending, and this one is an adaptation. It's also like a movie.
It's a movie ending. What I like though, this one's so meta because there's points where you're seeing him write the script of the film we're watching as he's listening to himself take notes while there's a narration of what he's writing down. It's like, oh, like my mind is breaking. It's so meta. But again, it's like, I think that's why I thought this film was so brilliant, is because there's so much to it and it's so dense and it so could have easily like fell on top of itself, but it didn't. And I just thought that was so great. And I think the way that they showed Charlie's own like fantasies with women, considered how lonely he was, I thought that was handled particularly well, because I remember there was one where like there's the one with Judy Greer, who's the waitress at the diner. Scene, and then she goes off. Yeah. Oh God. Oh, it's terrible. In a cringe way. Yeah, but then later he has a fantasy about her, and then as soon as it's about to get gratuitous, it just cuts to him from his angle. Gratuitous. Very briefly, but I think why I don't consider it gratuitous is because it cut to him, but you only saw his legs hanging off the bed in a dark room, and the camera was in the bathroom, and you could only see his feet through the doorway.
Yeah.
So it was super detached. So the feeling of isolation and loneliness was so intense that you're like, that was kind of gratuitous, but also like, oh my God, this man is so alone. He is like, and I like that, and I know that, and I liked how they excused the narration thing, because at one point Robert McKee's like, anyone who uses narration is fucking lazy. And I liked how Kaufman was like, it doesn't matter, because I love that we had insight into his mind and the ramblings of it.
The people who say narration is lazy are wrong, and I think they miss the point of what Robert McKee is trying to say. And I think Robert McKee says narration is lazy. It's because most people, if they do narration, It's because they use it lazily.
Like Molly's Game.
Molly's Game.
Like Molly's Game.
That is
but,
like my go-to example of awful narration in a movie.
To me, I think this and Fight Club have the best example of narration in a film.
That movie,
because it's not used lazily, and it gives you an insight into the character you wouldn't have without it. And it fits well with what's being shown.
Fight Club, the narration's fantastic.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, Fight Club and Adaptation. Molly's Game is, it's so overused in the first half of the film. Even though I still like that film.
It's not just overused. They literally show what she's describing.
They do. Camera. That is.
I want to. You know what? I should edit that movie.
You should, yeah.
And just cut out the narration. I should do a re-edit.
Yeah, God, that really is annoying. But anyways, coming back to Adaptation. I mean, I also, let's just talk about that third act, because the third act to me is, while it's not the best part of the film.
How long have we been recording? I have no sense of time. I can't remember when we started.
Like, I think we've been doing this for about 50 minutes.
I have no idea.
We've been. Yeah. So let's talk about the ending, because it took me a second to understand the tone and like what he was doing, because when he first got there and she was like a drug addict, I was like, oh, this is really sad. Like, this is a new level of profound sadness.
The minute you get like him following her at the airport and shit, immediately I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing.
It's
like already it's like too movie.
It was
a real story.
Honestly, to me, I could have seen that because they
in this universe.
I could have seen that because they had set up his social anxiety and phobia so well that I'm like, I could see him doing that. It was the point from which he was caught by Cooper and Streep, and she was pausing just long enough that I was like, she's going to suggest to kill him.
Yeah.
And then when she says, I'm like, okay, I know what this is now.
I was like, oh, I get what they're doing. Like, when he started like, I'm gonna follow her there and shit, I was like, okay. This is the Robert McKee thing.
Yeah, and like it goes kind of crazy, but in a fun way. Yes, it does, and it fits perfectly because it doesn't undercut any of the meta-ness or the seriousness of or it doesn't dilute the message of loneliness and the idea of the necessary component of other people in our lives that the film's really striving for. It actually reinforces that, I think, instead of taking it away, even though it's so completely different from the rest of the film, and that's why it works so well, in my opinion. Like, I think it's great.
I actually think I think Adaptation, the ending, the last bit of the movie starts becoming, we refer to it as a movie, but we mean like, theatrical and over the top.
Because what I would describe the first 2/3 is like it's a meta film, and then the last third is it's a film.
Yeah,
like it is that.
It's not a blockbuster or anything. It doesn't become a blockbuster, but
it kind of does. It becomes
it just becomes it's
car crashes. Guns, like a bit of a mystery.
That's not a blockbuster. It's not like aliens coming down from the sky or anything.
but think about at the time, right? When big movies in the 90s were about
torrid
love affairs and people killing people. Yeah, but he wrote the script in the late 90s.
Did he? Oh yeah, must have been because
So like,
blockbusters in the 90s. Are you kidding me?
That's kind of, but the film even makes it clear. The film makes it clear. The film is very clear about how cliched psychological thrillers are very. Okay, that's one film. Like, it doesn't because
Godzilla.
Okay, but I think
that's
I disagree. I disagree. See, I disagree because I think because
I don't.
Kaufman's brother, the whole point of Donald is to be like, this is what the most cliched blockbuster marketable film in Hollywood looks like. That's what the third act turns into.
I don't think what Donald was writing was even a blockbuster. It was, or maybe it was, but it was
a 90s blockbuster like Silence of the Lambs or Seven, where it's like those big
You think
thriller,
Silence of the
dark
Lambs
films.
is a blockbuster?
Look at how much money that movie made.
You consider
and the budget
you consider blockbuster based on the
time.
amount of money that it made?
I consider a blockbuster to be
That is not
something
the definition
that
of
had. I think a blockbuster is anything that had big talent and big money behind it. And Silence of the Lambs had both, and Seven had both. And that's why I think that those are both the stereotypical 90s thrillers, like blockbusters. And I think that's what he's like.
It's not a Silence of the Lambs is absolutely not a block. A blockbuster is a thing of great power or size. In a particular,
that could be interpreted in any way. Like that film has a huge cultural impact. It had a big impact at the time.
That's not what a blockbuster is. That's just not what it. Your definition.
I think that's open to interpretation. But even fine,
I think it is to an extent.
Not even using blockbuster. Then we won't. Then fine. I'll not use that term. But any big film.
It's been 2 weeks.
The big trend in the 90s were that, and that's so obvious when he's talking about the most cliche type of like psychological thrillers, what his brother's doing, and then that's what the third act is. It's a stereotypical psychological thriller. People get killed. There's a torrid love affair.
Exciting stuff happens.
It's gory. No, but okay, then it's a popular thriller. Then fuck the term blockbuster. Yeah. Then fine. That's just my opinion, but whatever.
Just because a movie's popular does not mean it's a blockbuster.
That's fine. That's just my opinion. That's fine. That's just my interpretation of the word.
Wasn't a blockbuster.
I think different.
You are fucked in the head, man. What the hell?
Actually, no. No, you're right. Us is a blockbuster. Get Out is not. I would be clear about the distinction. But it's not an indie film either. Get Out's not an indie film.
Oh no, it's not. Dude,
I think Us is a blockbuster.
Dude, it's not a spectrum between a blockbuster.
No, I know.
There's a million different things it is. It could be.
But I definitely think Us is a blockbuster. That's a big horror film with lots of money.
Right that I would have to I'm sure there's great academia about what what certain people would consider a blockbuster. But if you Google search a blockbuster definition,
yeah, that term is very vague.
It's so vague.
That's very vague.
But
anyways, my main point was before we went down that little argument.
No, sorry, but to go back, I can't remember. In all honesty, I can't remember that much about what Donald's script was, other than it was like a psychological thriller.
His script was about a serial killer who has multiple personality disorder, who like chops people up in a really gross, disgusting way, has a big twist at the end, like all the hallmarks of what 90s thrillers were like.
Yes.
And
that doesn't mean to me though that yes, that sounds like a big movie with like a very airtight screenplay. No,
that's fine. Blockbuster's not the right term.
But I'm not done. That just sounds like a big successful movie that would make money, and that's kind of what the ending of Adaptation is like. But I would just never consider that a block.
Then that's fair. But I think the ending of Adaptation is that kind of film.
Adaptation, the ending really seems out there because of just how normal the rest of the movie is in terms of it's a sad man trying to.
I don't know because it has a twist. People get killed in a gory way.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know.
I think it does. I think that's why he puts very cleverly, even though Donald Kaufman doesn't exist, Donald Kaufman as a screenwriter, because that part of the film is inspired by that character's type of screenwriting.
Yes. No, 100%.
And again,
but I'm just saying that if the whole movie was in the style of the ending, you wouldn't bat an eye about
Oh no. Yeah. No, not at all.
It just feels like a movie.
It feels like that
on a Saturday night at the movie theater.
And it feels more stylized and all that kind of stuff. But again, it works completely in its favor.
Which also shows the prowess of Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze, that they can pull that beat switch off perfectly.
He can pull that off perfectly and still maintain such great character development. Because two of my favorite parts of the film is after Chris Cooper dies and Meryl Streep's yelling at Nick Cage, basically. And like these people are so different, their experiences are so different, yet they've ended up very alone. And like they have that connection. Their story brought them together, and now their tragedy brings them together. And I thought that was really touching. But also, I love, yes, it's cheesy, but it's cheesy in a way that still feels very genuine, which is when Charlie and Donald are sat behind that tree trunk, and they have that cute little story about when they were kids, and that great line from Donald, just like, you are what you love, you're not what people see you as. And I thought that was great, because again, it's like a nice little sum up of what the film's about and the importance of like storytelling and like one succinct line, and the fact that they have that nice, great, genuine moment amidst what is a very different tonal section of the film. Like, to me was what was really impressive. They kept the emotional undertone of the rest of the film within something that was very different. And to me, that is the brilliance of that third act.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And like I said, that third act, when they pulled that off, I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah. Man, it's so good.
They do that beat switch. And they pulled it off. They pulled it off. It was amazing.
Yeah, they did. They did.
There's one thing you don't like about the ending. You should talk about
There is. So, yeah, because I guess we're
told me about it.
Yeah, we're heading towards wrapping up here. But the only thing that I didn't really like was, and again, I get it, the whole final bit's supposed to be like a movie where the guy gets the girl, and there are heroes and villains.
That
and
bit
things
of
like
ending
that
reminded me so much of the play. Actually, now that I remember the play,
I didn't like that he was like, I love you, and then she's like, I love you too, because it felt to me like, and then after that it's like, wow, I feel filled with hope. And I was just like,
that's a movie ending. I don't get why you don't like it.
But the rest of the third act is a movie third act, without it being like hit you. Because like I said, it has that fine line between like the genuineness of the rest of the film and the movie clichéness that it's aiming for. And I thought the last 2 minutes, and it's such a nitpick because again, I still think this is it's, to me, watching this is like when you and I talk about Gone Girl, where it's like, it's as perfect as a film can get, I think, and like in so many ways. But it's just that tiny little thing where I'm like, don't do that, don't do that. And I'm just not a fan. But other than that, I think, as I said, I think it's as perfect as a film can get.
This is very stupid for me to say because it doesn't really have any meaning. But thinking about it now, even though I very much have chronicled this and I prefer the movie I'm about to mention, but I think Gone Girl might be more perfect than The Social Network, even though I love The Social Network more.
I agree. I do. Every time I watch The Social Network, I love it more, but I'm also like, nitpick. Versus every time I watch Gone Girl, I'm like,
there are issues with this in The Social Network with how it depicts women unnecessarily cruel, even though the whole point is that they are misogynists. There's an element of that goes too far, especially with
I disagree with that.
I would have to, I can't discuss this right now because it's too much. Fair. But look, I know why you're saying I disagree, because there is an element of these characters are misogynists and they treat women like shit. And Erica,
and it's that, and the film is, yeah, and the fact that Erica is consistently like, fuck you, Mark, is like,
yeah, but still, but there are characters in it for no reason that get shafted. The female characters for no reason.
That's true.
Specifically, Andrew Garfield, Eduardo's girlfriend. She goes insane for no reason, and is.
That's true, but I also believe it because there's a time jump within the film, and you don't really follow those characters as much.
But it doesn't matter. There's no reason within the story for that to happen. There's no reason.
Yeah. No, it's true. That's true.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I disagree with the overall point, but that specific thing I do agree with.
And also, they kinda brown-faced an actor. Not really, but they kind of.
Oh yeah.
Divya Narendra, that actor is not Indian. And he's tan, and I don't know where he is specifically, but they very much try to make him look more Indian than he is.
I don't know if that's true or not, because he is in The Handmaid's Tale, and the difference between that, I don't actually see that much of a like makeup difference if they did add a little
I don't
bit.
think it's not insane. I don't even. It might just be like.
I think the bigger issue isn't that
might
you
be
know. I don't think that they brown faced him, but it was more
No,
so like you should have
no.
cast an Indian character,
No,
an Indian actor in that role.
That's a big thing. That's a whole separate thing. But definitely yes. And I don't
they
think
should have. I agree
But
with
I
that.
definitely think they did something. And I'm not saying they literally like brown faced him, you know, like horrible racist shit. I'm not saying that. But I think they did something to make him just look a little bit more Indian.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is not good. And I've listened to the director's commentary, and he's like, we picked him because he had the right energy. But like, come on.
Yeah.
Great actor in that movie, but weird that
He's
they did that.
He's a great actor. Yeah. I agree.
And that makes it less perfect, even though I
agree.
love that movie to death.
That's a great film.
And I think Gone Girl doesn't have those same issues.
The only thing I have with Gone Girl is what I told you is that like, it is not believable that no one would recognize Amy. She doesn't change her hair color enough, or she doesn't do anything drastic enough to not be noticed.
Maybe, yeah, but that's to me, even though the movie's more grounded, that's very grounded.
The film's extremely grounded.
That to me is a movie thing.
But I don't excuse it because the film is so grounded and is so much about.
You know, it's like how no one recognizes Superman with his glasses, even though Superman is super fantasy. Yeah, I know, Superman is a comic book thing and it's fantasy, that's why a little bit further in Gone Girl.
I don't excuse it because Gone Girl is so much, you know, it is about our media. It is about our 21st century relationships, that it rings so true to real life that you do that. I'm like, I think
that movie is explicitly about 21st century relationships?
I do.
Relationships overall.
I do.
That's a whole separate discussion.
Yeah, it is.
I think we should start wrapping this.
Yeah. Yes.
I want to hear your thoughts on that, though. That's very interesting.
Well, I mean, it's very simple. It's just because their relationship is changed because of how they see each other through the media, through technology.
Okay. Yeah.
So for me, it like that's why. It's like I don't have much explanation other than that. It's just like that is why I see it that way. But anyways, yes, Adaptation.
This is actually very interesting that you said that. It's a fucking great movie. I also like that movie more every time I see it.
It is brilliant.
When I rewatched it this year, it was this year, and I've
seen it twice this year.
I've seen it 3 times this year.
It gets better every time.
Yeah, no, but I hadn't seen it since 2014 when it came out, and I saw it in theaters. First R-rated movie I saw in theaters. I know I mentioned it on the Fincher episode, but that was cool.
Me too.
I lied about my age to see it.
I think that was my first R-rated film as well.
In theaters. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Mad Max came out after Gone Girl, right?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, then it was probably Gone Girl.
It's not the first R-rated movie I ever saw, but the first one I saw in theaters.
Yeah, in theaters. I think Gone Girl might have been. Or was it?
I want to see it with my dad. Was it the what's it called?
The Equalizer.
The Equalizer.
I know I saw that in theaters, but I don't know. Anyways, yeah, this has been a tangent episode. So.
I've had having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
This is a classic. Moses and Ryan go off.
Yeah, this is a proper tangent. But I mean, yeah,
I think we've discussed this movie a lot, though. I think we said a lot about Adaptation.
I do love it. Yeah. So speaking of, good segue. What are your final thoughts on this great film?
I think it is a slap-a-rooney of a movie. I've never seen something like I've never seen something so like meta. I don't think.
Yeah.
That works so well. Like there are things that are like insanely meta, but I don't think they work as well, or they feel too narcissistic or annoying in your face. Because I think this movie perfectly straddles the line of like, it's not annoying in how meta. That's one of the problems. If you do something, if you have a meta narrative, it can very easily become grating and like, I see what you're doing, but I don't like it. It can easily become that. But it pulls everything off that it tries to do, which I think is amazing. This, in theory, if you describe this movie to me, I could be like, this could be god awful.
Yeah.
Like it's about a screenwriter.
It is such a hard film to describe.
And then at the end, it becomes like God. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard movie to pitch, which is why I don't think
Yes.
he
didn't pitch it.
Well, no, he wrote a spec
No,
script.
I read that he didn't pitch it at all.
No,
He
I
wrote
know,
the script and then gave it to
I know,
Jones.
but yeah, there's a whole screenwriting process. But he wrote a spec script, or yeah, what? Not no, it wasn't a spec. Whatever. I'm messing up my screenwriting terms, but I still there was probably still definitely some pitching involved after he wrote the script.
Yeah.
Even after you write it, there's elements of pitching, but I don't think you could easily pitch this movie without having the script on hand to show.
Yeah.
What that's what
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I see what you mean now. I agree.
Pitching without a script in hand is ballsy.
Yeah, that is ballsy.
For this movie, I agree. I don't see how like people would buy into it, or maybe they would buy into it just because he did such a good job with being John Malkovich. But
which he did.
Beside the point. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is an unbelievable film. I think the more I think about it, I could get to where you are in terms of calling it a masterpiece. I just think that it works on every level. It's a very funny film. It is perfectly balanced, as all things should be, and is yeah, and yeah.
Don't ever say that again on the podcast.
It really is just well balanced.
Sorry,
that's fine.
We don't refer to non-cinema movies. Am I right?
To me, those films are cinema. But I think that the way that it handles the Meryl Streep Chris Cooper storyline, which is emotional and engaging and bittersweet in its own right, with the kind of manic, but also sad, but in a more I feel bad for you pity way of Charlie Kaufman. And also, I know I didn't bring this up, and I just want to say very quickly, I loved the non sequiturs that were filmed when he was describing the guy who had like dysentery and lived, but then someone beat him to death and killed him, or the evolution of life. Those non sequiturs I thought fit beautifully into film and worked very well.
Also, fuck, I can't believe there's two things I haven't mentioned or asked you about. What did you think of the little like joke inclusions of being John Malkovich, like the visit to the set?
I like that. I liked all of that. I thought it was very fun. Like, it didn't really add anything. It just like, that was really cool to see.
But also, I was thinking, this movie came out years afterwards. So they must have like pulled the set from storage or rebuilt it, because normally they destroy all sets after they make a movie like that.
Yeah.
So they must have rebuilt the sets, got all the actors together again for like 5 minutes.
And put in the makeup and all that.
Get that wig on, you know.
Because you told me Catherine Keener was in it, so and that's not very hard, but like to get John Cusack to look just like he did in that film is like, oh, that's like proper effort for like a 3-second shot.
Yeah, no, you have to like, they're lucky that he wasn't working on a movie that like required him to like gain weight or like muscle or whatever, you know, and they had to make sure that like that they still had a wig that was accurate for, or, you know, there's effort involved for like a bit that doesn't really matter. In the long run. And also, this is one of my main takeaways from the movie. If you've ever, it's just apply to screenwriting. If you've ever tried to adapt to anything, I think you can like find some, like at any level, amateur, whatever, you can find some, like you can recognize like things that you've gone through within Charlie, within this film.
That's why I love it.
I have tried to adapt things where it's like, it's hard, man, because you do have the problems he faces where it's like he's like pulling out his hair basically because he's like, you know, I have to make this a movie, but also I want to stay true to the source material. I don't want to disappoint her. And then, you know, he's going through all that. I have felt all those emotions in my lifetime.
Well, what I like is that
something like super amateurish as well, just for fun. When I've tried to adapt something, and like you go through all of that, and this applies to whatever level of writing, not just screenwriting. It's like, it's very, very universal and very accurate. And that a layer of like recognition, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And to me, it is that message of, you know, even if you're a film person or a film student or a scriptwriter or anything, you attach to that, but you also, you just sympathize with it. It's just his journey in general of what you take from stories and what from that you personally attribute to your own life, you then attribute to this story. And that's why it's meta, because you're personally attributing how you see stories to this person and how they see stories to another set of people and how they see stories and how that story becomes like their own life. And again, very meta, but again, perfectly balanced. I think it's a fantastic film. I think it is better than Being John Malkovich. It's my second favorite Charlie Kaufman film. I thought it was absolutely incredible, and I think it's a film that everyone. This is one of those films that I think absolutely everyone should see.
It's fun.
So yeah,
it's great. Also,
it is.
I like the poster.
I do too. I really like the poster. Poster's great.
Poster.
I
think it's an off-putting poster actually because this has been on my watch list for a long time and I just never watched it. So I'm like, oh, this I don't know what to think. I knew what the plot was basically about, but I saw this poster and I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But like, once you see
it works.
It
very much works. Yeah.
It works.
All right, Moses, what are we talking about next week?
We're talking about. We haven't done this in a while, but we've talked about them before. We're talking about a documentary next week. Minding the Gap came out in 2018. It was nominated for an Oscar, directed by Bing Liu. And it's one of my favorite documentaries. Ryan hasn't seen it yet, even though I've been recommending it for years. I've seen it multiple times. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. I'm
very excited.
I actually don't know where you can easily watch it in Europe, because in the US of A, it is a Hulu exclusive film.
Well, I guess we'll have to watch it at yours.
I do have. Don't tell the feds. I have Hulu. Thanks to my
and that's it for this week.
Thanks to my Aunt Lynette. Thank you for sharing your account and of these. Bingo.
Props to you.
But no, I'm certain you can watch it in Europe. Just I don't know what streaming service or what service they've dumped it on.
That it will be on, yeah.
Also, I wanted to buy it on Blu-ray at the DVD Blu-ray shop that's in London here, and I could only find the DVD, and I bet they have not released it on Blu-ray, which makes me mad.
Interesting.
I don't
Another
like it
mystery.
New movies, you can't get them on Blu-ray. It makes me mad. It's not a new movie anymore. It's 4 years old. But
yeah,
Swiss Army Man.
At the time. Also not Blu-ray.
No, I don't. For a while, I'm sure there was, but at least not anymore. Can't get a Blu-ray. I had to settle for a DVD, 720p. What is this bullshit? Like, if I'm watching a YouTube video at 720p, I shut it off. How dare you?
Oh my God, here we
go. Where's my 4K at 60 frames a second? Okay.
And this is where people stop listening.
When I endlessly rant about something so trivial as an unfunny bit. Let's go. Minding the Gap next week. It's amazing. Yes. I showed it in the
very
film.
Excited.
I showed it in the film club I co-ran in high school. And everybody loved it. It's like there's two movies that I refer to as like people really liked it and were like, damn, I should actually check this out when I get home because we only showed the first 20 minutes. Yeah. And funny enough, it's two. Actually, there's a couple movies, but there's 3 movies that were like that, and all 3 of them are 2 of them are documentaries, and the third one is Koyaanisqatsi, which it's not a documentary, but it's a non-narrative film. So I didn't show a single narrative feature film that people were like, that I got overwhelmingly positive reactions to. It was like,
Koyaanisqatsi is a great film.
I love that film. It's an amazing movie.
So next week is Minding the Gap, and
imagine we talk about Koyaanisqatsi on the podcast.
I'd be down to do that.
That would not be a good discussion.
You could do it as like a mini episode, half-hour discussion.
Or we could talk about like a bunch of movies that are like that.
A film,
but I don't think we can sustain an hour on Koyaanisqatsi. We can definitely talk about it in short, but an hour, no.
I agree. So Minding the Gap is next week. As we said, the week after, you spoiled that, is Eternal Sunshine, and then there's something exciting on the horizon that we'll be coming to you with after that week.
We'll tease it next week or whatever.
We'll put sprinkles of tease in next week's episode.
And you'll probably guess what it is if you follow me or Ryan on Letterboxd.
That's true.
Letterboxd
this coming week.
is our letterbox accounts are linked in the description of the episode, and our email is thegoodthebadandthekino@gmail.com. Stay Kino, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, stay Kino, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and until next week.
Yeah, keep it Kino, guys.
Keep Kino.
Bye, guys.